Perfect. Okay. Well, thanks me and Riemann for the introduction. Good evening, everybody. My name is Michel. I'm the founder of MindFX. So MindFX is an AI consulting company. I started very much like you over a year ago. At this stage, I started by putting together a POC for a platform for dubbing videos in various languages. So my idea was to sell the option to content creator for dubbing their videos in various languages. So they would give me their videos in English, let's say, and I will give them back the same video but with a soundtrack in a different language or any language they wanted. So the idea was to provide them with the ability to reach a wider audience. I started by doing the proof of concept and it turned out to be a waste of time. And the reason it was waste of time is one of the first things we did when I joined New Frontiers was to go on a customer discovery journey and talk to potential customers. And I had to ask them if they were interested in my product. And they were. But one of the very valuable information I got from one of the potential customers was that YouTube were offering the same service for free. So it was something that was kind of a little bit hard to swallow at first. I had kind of thought that I had a defense against that by providing a really high value content, a very high quality dubbing service. But in the end, I decided that I was really facing a giant and I had no really future in that business. So I had to pivot and I reinvented myself as an AI consultant. So the lesson from that is that I sank a huge amount of time doing a proof of concept, doing a prototype, even though it worked and it worked very well. I did it too early, and this is hopefully something that you won't do. And we're going to talk about prototyping, and one of the first things we're going to talk about is really what is a prototyping, when do you start prototyping, because that's very, very important. You don't want to be like me, wasting too much time and resources prototyping. What we're going to do today is that we're going to build a prototype. But before we build the prototype, we're going to go over large language models. And the reason we're doing this is because we're going to build our prototype using entirely and only large language models. So we're going to go over the basics of LLMs, large language models. We're going to go over the basics of prompting and some prompting strategy as well, and some trick and tips that you can take home with you. The prototype that we're going to build today is a concierge, it's a hotel concierge. It will have two parts. The first part is what is referred to as a conversational agent. So it's a voice-enabled agent that is based on a knowledge base. We're going to build the knowledge base using AI. We're going to integrate that with our conversational agent platform from a provider that is available on the internet. And then once we have that, we're going to move on to the next step, which is building websites, again, using LLMs only. And we're going to integrate our conversational agent inside the LLM. And we're going to go for a demo of it in the end. So prototyping. So I need to move the screen left and center. So what is prototyping? Really, a prototype is just a very simplified version of your product. And the goals here are threefold. It's really to validate your assumptions and the assumptions that you have about the problem that your customer is facing and the solutions that you want to provide that you think is what the customer is looking for. And you want to reduce any kind of risk with regards to your understanding of the issue that your customer is having. You want to learn fast. You want to keep it very, very low cost. And you want to iterate. You want to take that, to be able to take that prototype, bring it back to your customer, and just to get a validation from your customer whether or not you are fixing their problem or not. There are different types of quality in terms of prototype. There's low fidelity, medium fidelity, and high fidelity type of prototypes. Today, we're going to focus on the high fidelity prototype. We're going to make a prototype that is very close to the final product. It's going to look good and it's going to make use of a technology that works. So nothing is going to be simulated behind the scenes. But it doesn't mean that you have to do that. You can opt for less lower fidelity prototypes. Clickable UIs work perfectly well if you're designing a software solution, but also paper sketches could work very well as well. So when do you prototype? And this is where I went wrong in my first experiment, is really you have to start with the customer. You have to start with the conversation you're having with your customer. Maybe you've been through the mom test, which is a great book, and I have a reference to it at the end. This is a means, a technique for having meaningful conversation with your potential customers, where you actually are not selling anything. You are just listening to problems that your customers is having, and really what you want to get at is the the problems that make your customers' hair burn, something that's really painful for them, and hopefully you come up with a solution, you ideate a solution for fixing this issue, this problem, and then you build your prototype. Once you have a prototype up and running, you bring it back to your customer, you bring it back to your market, just to validate that you've done and you've addressed the issue correctly. And it might be the case that your prototype needs several more iterations to actually get to a proper solution that fixes the issue that your customer is having. And then you can, after that, you can either scale, or maybe you've discovered that really the prototype is not doing its job and maybe there's no real market behind this. And that's perfectly okay. Then it just means that it'll be time to pivot to something else. So in terms of prototyping, really the idea is there to go as fast as possible, focus on your learning and learning about the problems from the customers and the solutions that you can put together. So don't look for perfections. Test as little assumption as possible. So one assumption at a time. In the prototype we're going to build later on, the assumption is that we're going to build that we can build a concierge that is replacing someone who'll be working late at night. So we're going to build an AI for that, and that's the only assumption we want to test. And we're going to build it inside a website, but it's just for show. We want to keep as cheap as possible, and the idea is that you shouldn't be overbuilding. There's no point building complex features in your prototype. So, for instance, security matters don't really matter for a prototype that much. But obviously, if you go from prototype to a minimum viable product later on, then you have to build those kind of features, extra features such as security. Then, when it comes to building, we are in luck because there are a lot of tools that we can make use of. If it comes to building a user interface, Figma from are very good tools. For low-code platform and no-code platform, we have Bubbles and Lovable. We're going to make use of Lovable later on when we're building a website. If you need to automate complex processes, N8N is a really good choice along with Make. MindStudio as well is a very good contender. When it comes to building conversational AI agents, I would recommend 11 Labs, and there's an option here for LiveKit, which is an open source solution as well, but it's more geared towards techie people and engineers. But 11 Labs provide out of the box really interesting solutions. It goes, I know earlier on you mentioned about a project regarding memory. Maybe 11 Labs could be something that could be of use here. 11 Labs has very interesting capabilities in terms of cloning voices. We're not going to make use of it right now, but it exists, and we're going to build our AI on 11 Labs later on. If you have to store information, if you need to have access to a database, a simple database like Airtable, which is like Excel spreadsheets, is perfect. I use personally Firebase, which is a product from Google. It's really, really good. If you need to collect feedback from your customers who are making use of your product, of your prototype, Lookback and Typeform are really, really good tools as well.
Michelle,
Yes.
there is Vipin has raised his hand.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
So, Michelle, just a quick question. So, you mentioned about Lovable AI and all. So, all these tools are paid. I tried a few of them. So,
Hmm?
any one of them which I can use and deploy it for free, like maybe for the testing or something.
Well, to be honest with you, like if you are prototyping, if you're an engineer and if you really want to spend a lot of time deploying your own stack, then I'm sure there are products out there that you can deploy. I would recommend going for the likes of Lovable or Medium Labs, all the guys I just mentioned, just because it's there, yeah, it's all there and it's available for a very small amount of money. I think 20 euro is what you normally pay. I started using Level Labs. I started to spend only 5 euro per month. And I think, 5 euro versus standing up a stack in Live Kit myself, I would pay the 5 euro anytime because it's cheaper. It's so cheap. I wouldn't pass on that. Um, Unless you really want to take a lot of pleasure in deploying your own stack. Here, the aim is to go fast and build a prototype quickly. So spending a few bucks here and there, I think is the way to go. I recommend you do that. That would be my recommendation. Does it answer your question?
Yeah, I have few more, but I'll ask them later. Thanks.
Okay, that's great. Thanks, man. So now we're going to make use of LLMs to build everything from scratch here. So we're going to go through LLMs and get the basics so that everybody knows how they work internally as much as needed. So basically, LLMs are feed-forward networks, which means they take an input and then they calculate an output. So in this example here, the LLM is taking a string as an input. It's a string that is not finished. And the string goes, the dog plays with the, and then a blank. The aim of a large language models is to provide the missing blank, to compute the next word following the input and provide a probability distribution and pick the most suitable output. And in this example, and the first pass, the output, the most probable word was the word ball with a probability of 88%. Then what happens is that this string is being passed again into the LM, but it's the string with the word ball, and the LM predicts the following words, and so on and so on, and until we build the entire sentence. So here in blue, we have all the words that are being guessed by the LLM, ball in the garden. So this is a very simple example of illustration of how LLM work at a very basic level. Now, what you notice here is that the main component here is this predicted word. And really, the problem is that because the output is a probability based, it means it's inevitable that the output will be wrong at some stage. So this is what gives rise to hallucinations, which is where the model picks up a word which is the wrong word and then start building around it and goes into a different direction than the one it should be doing. Now, the reason I'm talking about this is because hallucinations are part and parcels of LLM. They are built-in features of LLMs. They have to exist. They cannot be completely nullified. So there are techniques out there to make sure that LLMs uh, don't hallucinate as much as you used to, but you have to be cognizant of the fact that this is something that's baked into LLMs and they are meant to hallucinate. So treat every answer from an LLM as an hallucination. Even if you come across an LLM that tells you, that provides the resources, the links where it got its information from, it's your job to double check the links, make sure that once you open that the reference that the LM gave you are correct, because most of the time you will be surprised that the reference are actually non-existent. They've been completely made up. So be aware of hallucination. They are there to stay, even though there's a mechanism to make them less prominent. Now, we talked about words, but in fact, LLMs are mathematical machines, so they don't use words. They process vectors, and vectors are a list of numbers, and this vector is what we call also token. Now, there's not, unfortunately, a one-to-one mapping between each word and a token. And it all depends on the type of tokenizer that the LLM is using. If we take the tokenizer from ChatGPT, let's say, if the word artificial maps to exactly one token, but the word unbelievable maps to 3 different tokens, so 3 different vectors. Now, the reason we are talking about tokens is because when you pay for an LLM, really you pay for the amount of token that you push into the LLM and the amount of token that the LLM is pushing out. So input and output, so you pay double. Now, context. When you have a conversation with an LLM, this is what makes the context. So the context is the sum of your chat history with the LLM and also the prompts. The prompt is a piece of information you pass to the LLM to give it some information. We're going to talk about it later on. Now, but when we talk about context, there's one thing that we have to be cognizant is that the context window, which is the size of a context, varies depending on your model. Some models have larger context windows than others. The issue with context window is that once you reach out the maximum size of your context window, when your chat goes too long, information gets dropped from the LLM. And that means that this information is lost. This explains why sometimes LLM forget what information you had provided to them in the first place. Is very often when the context window was exceeded and all information have been removed to make spaces for new information from your context. The way you interact with the LLM is through prompting, so through the natural language request. And really the response you get from the LLM depends on how well you craft your questions and how well you craft your prompt. So here are some type of prompts that you can provide. So you can have a prompt which just basically some instructions when you specify task that you want the model to perform. It could be just purely contextual information, just to give external information to the LLM to steer it to better response later on. Or it could be just some input data, or the input or questions that you want an answer for. Actually, I'm going to move this. Yeah, you can specify in your prompt also what's referred to as an output indicator, which is, for instance, the type of the data that you want to get out of the LLM. So you might specify that you want a Word document to come out, a PDF, or a comma separated value. Here are 2 examples of prompts. The first one is just a classifier, where we say, okay, you are classify the text into neutral. Actually, classify the text into neutral, negative, or positive, and this is the input. The text is, I think the food was okay, sentiment. So you can copy and paste this and put it into an LLM. And because the LLM, as we've seen later on, is inclined to predict the following tokens, it will take all your input and give you this output, sentiment : neutral, because it will have guessed that the most likely word following the most likely tokens following this input is neutral. Here's another example of a token that you can provide. Here we say, okay, extract the name of places in the following text. Our desired format is place, and then a comma separated list of places. And here is a fairly intricate type of input, which there's as a quotation, and within the quotation, there are more quotations, and inside it, there's places, physical places. If you copy this and paste into the likes of ChatGPT, and you will get this type of output here. Places, colon, Champalimaud, Center for the Unknown, comma, Lisbon. So the LM was able to actually process that input, find the location without it, and then provide the output as a comma separated list of places. These are the type of things that maybe 2 years ago LLMs were not capable of doing. When it comes to prompting, you can provide examples, and providing examples is a great strategy to get a better output from your LLM. We have, okay, if you provide no example, this is called the zero-shot prompting. If you provide one example, it's called the one-shot prompting. And here you can also provide multiple examples, and it's called few-shot prompting. And here is an example of a prompt, a few-shot prompting technique. Here we provide a series of questions and answers. And at the end, we provide just the question, and we give a hint to the LLM that we want it to continue the output, to continue the string. And we just say A for answer, and then we let it compute. And here the prompt, the examples we're providing are quite intricate. We're saying to the prompt, the odd numbers in this group add up to an even number. And then we provide a list of numbers, and we provide the answer. And the answer in this example here is false. Then we repeat that same type of example with different values, true and false. And in the end, we place our questions and we ask for answer. And you can copy and paste this into the LLM later on when I give you the slides. The answer should be true. So this is an example of few-shot prompting. When it comes to prompting, prompts can get very long. So a good idea is to cut them into smaller chunks. And we'll see an example of that later on when we build our concierge. Use persona, a very powerful way to actually give the LLM a serious grounding. You can tell your LLM that he's an expert in finance, let's say, or expert in history, and it really help the LLM in providing you better answer. One thing that was found just a few years ago is that asking the model to think step by step really increased the quality of your output. And this is being used a lot now by default by all the major LLMs. But if you deploy your own LLM yourself on your local machine, maybe this would not be the case. And if you can increase the performance of your LLM just by asking it to think step by step. Also, adding examples, as we've seen previously, really improve the output of your LLM. And prompting tips really, to increase your prompts, you can make use of another LLMs like ChatGPT. I'm going to use that later on when we're building our agent. We're going to start with a very poor type of prompt, and then we're going to ask ChatGPT to improve it, and we'll see the results. So we know we've been very fast here. We know all we need to know about prompting and about LLM in order to build our first prototype. And this prototype is a concierge for a hotel. So the objective here is twofold. We're going to build a mock hotel website, and inside this website, we're going to have an AI-powered voice-enabled concierge that is going to respond to customer questions in real time. And all this will be done without making use of any coding, all through LLMs and reusing the tools that we've seen earlier on. So the concept is like this. We have a user that's going to interact with the website, and inside the website, there'll be this voice-enabled concierge. And this voice-enabled concierge needs a knowledge base in order to work. So we're going to start here at the knowledge base. We're going to build a knowledge base especially for our hotel. And we're going to inject into our concierge and inject the concierge into the site, and then our user will make use of the entire chain. So let's start with the knowledge base. So we're starting with a very small prompt. And this is what we're going to pass into ChatGPT. You can say, you are the owner of a hotel called the Connemara House Hotel. You are putting together documentation to explain the various offerings of the hotel to your customers. Include the following detailed items in your document and use a friendly tone. So we want a menu for the fine dining restaurant located on site. We want a menu for the bar, which is also in the hotel. We want rules to be observed by the guest, such as the check-in and checkout times. We want information about noise level, the free parking conditions, the free Wi-Fi code, which is Open Sesame. We want information about the leisure center, opening hours, the swimming pool rules, etc. We also want information in our knowledge base about the departure time for the courtesy shuttle to the airport, etc. So all we do here is we paste that into ChatGPT and we make use of these lovely hallucination features that comes baked into LLMs. And here we go. We are very lucky. We're getting a fine dining restaurant menu and with prices. We didn't ask for prices, but here we go. We have our menu for the hotel, again, with prices that are kind of, the right prices. We have information about the Wi-Fi. We have the password that just came up, the Open Sesame, information about the swimming pool. And here we have dates for the shuttle that goes to the airport. So that's it. This is our knowledge base. We've done nothing except prompting for it. So what we do now, we copy this and we paste it into a file. We save it for later. Now it's time for us to actually get acquainted with a tool that is very powerful from ElevenLabs, which is our conversational AI agent. So everybody can create their own AI agents, and I've decided to use ElevenLabs, and here is the URL for it. So if you go to https://elevenlabs.io/app/conversational AI agents, you will see this UI, and all you have to do is click New Agent here. And once you do that, you are presented with this UI, where here you have a series of example agents. So we pick up this support agent template. Now that's very interesting because this comes with a lot of information, a lot of prompts that are being created for us. So a lot of work is being done for us. But we notice some problems already here is that this AI agent is really meant to be working in the environment for ElevenLabs, not really for our hotel. So we'll have to change that later. I think in these slides, we go over the UI itself. So this is where we define the system prompt. The system prompt is really the heart of the conversational AI agent. This is where we defined what the personality of the concierge should be. And here we have information we have access to other information such as the voice. We can define the voice that we want. So here we have by default Jessica as the voice. We can control, and we're not going to change any of the parameters here because the defaults are perfect. We have information about the speed of the voice, etc. If we wanted to, we could clone our own voice and use it as well. The security, because we are doing a POC, we're really aiming at putting something together fast. So we are completely overlooking security here. In the advanced options as well, we're completely overlooking it. It's of no interest to us at this point in time for the prototype. But what we see here, we have a widgets tab. This is very interesting. It's kind of a hint that we have a piece of code that seems to be just a one-line piece of code that came up earlier on that we might be able to reuse. And the idea is that we will reuse it later on when we build our website. So we have a few pieces here that are very interesting. But the first thing we need to do is to configure it a little bit better. So what we're going to do is, first of all, we're going to change this first message. So the first time the concierge greets us, is going to say, "Hey, I'm George, the concierge at the Connemara House Hotel. How can I help you today?" And what I've done here is I have taken the system prompt that came for free with ElevenLabs. That was kind of a very long system prompt, but very detailed. I took it and I changed ever so slightly to fit the problem, to fit the domain that we're working on, to fit our Connemara House Hotel concierge prototype. So I've changed it, the person to be your George. You are a friendly, proactive, highly intelligent concierge at the Connemara House Hotel. You have world-class knowledge on tourism in Ireland, especially Connemara. Your approach is warm, witty, and relaxed, etc. You are naturally curious, empathetic. You are highly self-aware, etc. So this is just the start of the prompt. The prompt goes a little bit longer than that, and we're going to go over it a little bit. So here we just copy our first sentence that we've just changed. We place it inside the ElevenLabs first message. And now we take the system prompt that came by default, we delete it, and we go through the system prompt that I created offline. So basically, it's a system prompt where we talk about the personality of the agent, how warm he should be, how curious he should be, how he should behave. Really, that's the whole idea of this system prompt, is to give human characteristic to the AI here. So that was the first paragraph about the personality. The second paragraph is about the environment. We want also to give information about the tone, how the agent should pronounce things, how we should spell out acronyms, for instance, and for numbers. And we define also the goal for the agent and the role. So there are different things. The role, for instance, we want to make sure that the agent is available 24/7, and that he should be able to provide information about the restaurant, the leisure centers, the Wi-Fi, the kind of things that we mentioned earlier on in our knowledge database. But one very crucial piece of information here is the guardrails. We want to make sure that we completely limit as much as possible what the AI can do. And this is so that the AI doesn't take action that is not meant to take, that doesn't say anything that is not meant to say. So that's something that's very important, is guardrails. So we take our prompt, place into system prompt, and we go down a little bit further down, and we see we have the option of adding a file for our knowledge base. And that's very interesting because we saved the knowledge base that we got from ChatGPT. We saved it to a file. Now we have the options of inserting it into the knowledge base for our new agent, for our concierge agents. And basically that's it. This is what we've seen earlier on. This is the fine dining restaurant menu, etc. So all this information now has been indexed and is completely part of the knowledge of the concierge. And you can see we have information about the opening hours of the leisure center, and we have our departure time for the shuttle. Now, at the minimum, this is all you need to do to get a working conversational AI agent with ElevenLabs. So we've done that part. I'm going to skip this part here where I'm testing the agent because we're going to test it later on. But I just want to show you that, there's so many languages you can pick from. And I think now ElevenLabs supports multiple language within the same concierge. So you can have a concierge that is bilingual if that's something that you're interested in. Anyways, I'm going to skip this because we'll test it later on. Now I'm going to move on to our website. So we have created our concierge. We haven't tested it yet, but we have it there. Now we want to create a website, and we want to integrate our AI agent with website. So this is how we do it. We're going to make use of a prompt as well. I'm going to make use of a tool called Lovable. We're going to start with a very simple prompt. We're going to ask ChatGPT to embellish the prompt and take it from there. So here we said, we start with a very simple prompt. We say the prompt should instruct Lovable to create a website for a luxury hotel. One of the pages is for the concierge. On the concierge page, there is an ElevenLabs conversational AI widget. Now, let's do this. So we're back inside ChatGPT. We have provided our simple prompts, and ChatGPT knows that we want to build with Lovable and is creating a prompt that, according to ChatGPT, is tailored to Lovable. So we have our embellished prompts, and what we do now is we take it into this new platform called Lovable, and we paste our prompt, the prompt that we got from ChatGPT, and let it run. Okay, so Lovable takes a little bit of time to execute. I think the entire video is about 5 minutes. We're going to skip a little bit ahead here because not much is happening. We can see that, sorry, excuse me, that Lovable said it's working, but really we don't know what it's doing in the back end. So let's skip ahead a little bit. Still working. Okay. So we've expanded the UI and we're told that, okay, Lovable understands the brief, says I'll create a visual, stunning luxury hotel website that embodies sophistication and exclusivity. This will be a 5-star experience with immersive imagery, elegant typography, a premium concierge page featuring ElevenLabs AI integration. So I got everything and is working on it. And at the moment, it's creating this page here, home.tsx. TSX stands for TypeScript, so it is writing something in TypeScript, which is fine. It moved on to creating the suites.tsx. So maybe he's dealing with the suites page, where we have the page for all the rooms. Then hopefully it'll go on to the dining, the spa, and then it'll finish with the concierge page. Let's move on. Okay, working on dining. Now it's writing the spa page. Writing concierge. Okay, now you're writing app.tsx in the index. Yes.
While that's doing, Michel, a question from Sue.
Okay. Sorry, I can't see the questions.
Just raised a hand. Go ahead, Sue.
Okay.
No, you're on mute, must be. Can't hear you. No, can't. No, you're on mute. Oh, we lost Sue, but go ahead, Michel.
Okay. Yeah. So this is our hotel. Now we noticed a few problems here. The address seems to be New York, and the name of the hotel is the Grande Hotel, and that's completely my fault. It's because in the prompt I didn't provide enough information. So because as we've seen, the LLMs hallucinate by default, it filled up the blanks, so it had to figure out a name for the hotel and picked a name by itself called the Grande Hotel. So we're going to have to change this, and we're going to have to change the address. So Lovable has created a website. It has created some code in TypeScript. we're not looking right now, but we don't want to change it. We don't want to edit the software itself. We want to make our changes using the natural language interface as well. So this is what we're going to do next. We're going to tweak it. And here we're saying the name of the hotel is Connemara House Hotel. The hotel is located on Sky Road in Clifton. Please update the site accordingly. So Lovable is very nice. It's saying, okay, I'll update the site, and it's working on it. Now, I think there's something that happens during the editing of the pages, that something is going to go wrong. And that's very interesting because things have a tendency to always go wrong. And we see how we can get out of a bad situation. So it is taking quite a bit of time for the AI to actually change a small detail here, such as the name of the hotel. It is writing the home.tsx, which makes sense. It would be this page here. Let's move on a little bit further. Okay, it's updating the footer.tsx. So the footer would be where the address is located. Okay, so updating the index.html. Actually, everything is going fine here. Okay, the Connemara House Hotel, the name has been updated here. And actually nothing went wrong. It's actually in different videos where something goes wrong. And we're going to have a look at this later on. And yeah, so that's it. The website has been updated. And we're happy with that. Now, the only thing is that when we look, what we want to see is our concierge here. So what do we have? It turns out that we don't have a concierge just yet, because we haven't embedded this piece of code that comes from ElevenLabs. So we take this snippet of code here, which is just one line, and I'm also providing links to the documentation for ElevenLabs, and I pass all this information into Lovable. And the idea is to get Lovable to figure it out, inject the widget into the concierge page, and also learn about ElevenLabs as it goes. Now, I think the output from Lovable doesn't tell me if it's going out reading the documentation from ElevenLabs. Maybe when I recorded it, maybe it didn't do this, but most of the LLMs that you're dealing with today are able to make function calls and get out of their sandbox and read from the internet and get more information that way. So here, Lovable is working on doing the integration. It says, I'll add ElevenLabs conversational AI widget to the page. It's telling us, oh, it has successfully integrated the ElevenLabs conversational AI widgets, but oh, okay, there's a build error. That's problematic because we don't want to be dealing with problems. We click on the link provided, and we have more information here. Oh, it's fairly cryptic. It's telling us that the ElevenLabs -conv AI property doesn't exist. We clicked on the bottom.
Can you
Hello?
sorry, I was asking for stuff there.
Okay, yeah, sure. No problem. So we left Lovable to deal with the issue, and it figured out that it needs to it figured out the issue. It said, I need to fix TypeScript error with the custom ElevenLabs widget. The issue is that TypeScript doesn't recognize the custom ElevenLabs -conv AI element. Let me add the proper type declaration and fix this. So it has a good idea of how to fix it. And it is done, really. It says, I fixed the TypeScript error by adding the proper type declaration, custom elements, which allows TypeScript to recognize this custom HTML element. Okay, good stuff. We're done. So we have done everything. We have built our conversational AI agent. We have built the knowledge base for it. We have built our website. We have integrated the widgets, the AI widgets into the website. Now it's time to play with it. So there's a live website here, but here I'm looking at the recording of it. So you can see this, the address has been updated. This, you mentioned Sky Road. That's the address in Clifton. The Connemara House Hotel is still updated. We have information about our dining. We have also information about the spa. So it's a fairly expensive, a select kind of hotel. And here we have our concierge. And here we have our widget.
Hey there, I'm George, the concierge at the Connemara House Hotel. How can I help you today?
Hi, this is Michel from room 123. I need a couple of more towels, please. Can you send them up?
Absolutely, Michelle. I'll send some extra towels to room 123 right away. Is there anything else I can help you with at the moment?
Yes, I'd like to have dinner tonight. What time do you start serving?
We have two options for dinner. The Connemara table, our fine dining restaurant, is open from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. daily. Or the Bog Oak Bar serves bar meals from 12 p.m. to 11:30 p.m. Sunday to Thursday, and 12 p.m.
Okay.
to 12:30 a.m. on
Sorry.
Fridays and Saturdays. Which one would you prefer?
I'll think about it. Really, I'm traveling early tomorrow. I want to use the shuttle to go to the airport. At what time can I go?
Okay, so you're thinking about dinner, and you're also interested in the airport shuttle for tomorrow morning. The shuttle departs from the hotel at 6 a.m., 8 a.m., 12 p.m., 3 p.m., and 6 p.m. To ensure you get a seat, please book your place at reception at least 12 hours in advance. Which time would suit you best?
10 o'clock.
I am very sorry, but we don't have a shuttle at 10 o'clock. We have one at 8 a.m. and another one at 12 p.m.
Oh, okay, great. Let's go for 8 a.m., please.
Okay, I'll book you on the 8 a.m. airport shuttle then. Just to confirm, your name is Michelle and you're in room 123.
That's correct.
Perfect. I've booked you a spot on the 8 a.m. shuttle to the airport. Is there anything else I can help you with, Michelle?
I'd like to go to the gym in the morning. At what time do you open?
The leisure center, which includes the gym, opens at 7 a.m. Monday to Friday and 8 a.m. on Saturday and Sunday.
Okay, that's perfect. Okay, thanks a million. Take care, bye-bye.
Happy I could help with your shuttle booking and gym information. Have a wonderful day and a safe trip.
Okay. So there's also a website. So the website's still up and running. You can view it later on if you want. Now,
Vipin has a question.
Michelle, thanks, Roman. So, Michelle, what you built through Lovable, so I believe that it only makes landing pages. When you were talking, so I am pretty sure that 11 Labs, so you put 11 Labs API, but I don't think so that it can, like, you can talk to it in real time. So
yeah, it is. Yeah, that's what I do for a living. So yeah, 11 Labs. So all it is, so Lovable is great for making landing page, great. The widgets that we've seen earlier on is the 11 Lab widget is what you have to introduce into your web page. And once you put it in there, 11 Labs takes over completely. When the user clicks on it, your voice pass gets transferred to 11 Labs, and 11 Labs process your voice, use the prompt that we have provided, and also runs Gemini, Google Gemini 2.0 in the backend. So you can have a conversation with the AI, a live conversation. It's a voice-enabled conversation. Yeah, it's
so
It's,
So
it's
it means you
not made up completely.
you,
No,
you provided Google Gemini API as well in that website. Is that right?
no. It comes built in inside 11 Labs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I could, if you're interested in this, I need to move. Resources. Can't remember exactly where. Okay, things have changed since last time I went through it, but platform. Where is it gone? Can't find. For some reason I'm blind. Where is it gone? Okay, some changes since last time I came in. Oh yeah, agents. My agent is here. So let's look at sort of different versions of this concierge. If you look at it there, so that's the page. Oops. Interesting this. Yeah. So the LLM that 11 Labs are running behind the scenes is Gemini 2.0 Flash. We can pick a different one as well, but then there's a cost associated with it. And Gemini 2.0 Flash is really good because it's fast and it's nimble in terms of price. But really, that's all you have to do. You can test your agent once you're in here, so that just to show you this is not made up at all.
Hey there, I'm Sean, the concierge at the Connemara House Hotel. How can I help you today?
Oh, hey, how are you? So I'd like to have dinner tonight. Do you have a restaurant on site?
I'm doing great, thanks for asking. Yes, we do have a fine dining restaurant called the Connemara Table. Would you like to know its opening hours or perhaps see a sample of their dinner menu?
No, that's fine, that's fine. Okay, bye-bye.
All right, if you're all set, have a great day.
So yeah, nothing is made up. The thing is, a few years ago, when you were talking about LLM, it was just through the text interface. 11 Labs, as far as I know, were the first ones to come up with a voice-enabled LLM in December of 2024. And they've led the pack, and it's a very good product. Now, this is not the only thing that can be done because LLM not only process text, they process voices, but they can process videos. So I think the way things might be moving into the future is that when you interact with LLMs, you're going to have much more modalities you can choose from, videos being one of them, and video is going to change everything. Because, for instance, it's totally plausible to think about an LLM that with which you can share your screen. That LLM can be able to click on the screen for you or guide you somehow. So yeah, it's going to get even more interesting in the next year or so. If we go back to the slides here, I just wanted to have I'd finish by talking about what comes next. And that's exactly what I want to talk about here is that, we started with text only in LLMs a few years ago, and the quality wasn't very good. And first, when LLM came out, they were good enough for finishing a sentence in an email to help you craft an email, but now they can craft entire books. Since late 2024, with the likes of 11 Labs, and there are others out there now, there's a lot of them, you can have voice-enabled agents. And they are really good, especially 11 Labs, because 11 Labs allows you to interrupt the speaker. So as a human speaker, I can interrupt the LLM, the voice of the LLM when they are talking midway through their sentence, which is something that is technically fairly hard to do because you need to have a whole infrastructure for real-time voice processing, and that's tough enough to put together.